Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments of people working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are a comedian, a podcaster, a director, Matt Stewart.
How are you, Seb? Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on, mate. I say this every week, but I'm genuinely very appreciative of everyone that comes onto my fun little show.
It's a fun little show and it's good to be inside of it.
It is lovely to have you on as well. I'm going to start off first and foremost. You are a man of comedy. Are you easily embarrassed?
Yeah, I think...
Fantastic. Everyone, we're in for a good show then, okay?
I'm not sure. I reckon it would depend on the scenario, but...
Okay, well...
I don't think so, but maybe.
It's funny, there've been plenty of friends for the show that have been comedians or people in the comedy world, which are just like, oh yeah, that stuff just happens, it's fine, fuck it. And you're like, oh, okay. And then so many of them, just the funniest little offhanded comment they make,
yes.
And then that sticks with them forever. And they keep themselves up at night. Friend of the show, Ben Knight, this giant mammoth of a man, nothing phases him, and he said one little thing once and he felt so bad for the rest of the time afterwards. And it's just, yes. I'm always amazed by what people are embarrassed by. So do you find yourself soldiering through all of your bombs and any of these funny little skits that everybody does nowadays, or are you kind of a bit more of one of those people that feel a little bit embarrassed by most things?
I think usually it's okay during it, I think.
Yeah.
After it can be hard. It depends. The ones that there's a handful have stuck with me and still make me feel sick thinking about.
Oh, fan! I cannot wait to hear them.
But they're also like, I don't know if they make the best stories. It's just like, I don't know why, but there's just some that just I can still feel it.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones, I'm like, sometimes it just feels like an anonymous gig. You're like, no one here will remember me, and it was.
Especially if you've done some country Australia gigs as well, like in the middle of nowhere. I've done a few theatre shows like that, and you're like, look, this kind of sucked, but I'm never going to see anyone here ever again. Whereas if you're doing, as our headphones fall off our head here, whereas if you do something in front of your peers or God forbid even someone you admire, you're like, well, that's my career ruined.
Yeah,
fuck.
Brutal. Yeah, I did one in Wagga Wagga a couple of years ago, and it was a headline spot, so I went for like 35 minutes.
Humble brag there, everyone.
Yeah, a little humble brag. But no, I mean, that was the brutal part of it. If you bomb when you're headlining, there's no one to come and save it after you're done.
You got the MC to come and wrap it up after
and
that.
You're on and you just have to sit in. Like, that was 35 minutes and it just, I'm like, I should have gone shorter, but you stick to your time.
No, you've been paid for 35 minutes. You have to do every single minute of your 35 minutes.
And I think I always, I do think about that a lot. Like, I've got to go back to Wagga Wagga just so.
Redeem yourself.
I got to redeem myself. I got to get that taste out of my mouth, but I don't know if Wagga Wagga will have me back.
I'm sure they'll have almost anyone, I'll be honest with you. No offense to anyone in Wagga Wagga as well. I'm sure you're a beautiful place.
You got big numbers in Wagga Wagga. I'm pretty sure
I've just lost all my half a listener up there now.
Strong listenership in Wagga Wagga.
I have visited Wagga Wagga once, I have to say, and I'm sure you were probably the highlight of their month up there. Not that I'm saying anything disparaging
You're
against
digging
Wagga
your
Wagga.
way into this hole.
Oh, fuck. All right, we're going to start this. Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That. No, but as a man with, I'd say, more than a handful of podcasts yourself, do you find you have a lot of fans in a lot of sort of weird places? Not weird places, sorry, Wagga Wagga, you're not weird. But in smaller townships like that, and then the one time maybe in their life they get to come and see you and it'll be that. Do they ever reach out to you afterwards and be like, hey, it was great to see you anyway? And I've had a couple of people like that to me before, just from theatre shows. And I'm like, oh, I will pay for you to come and watch this somewhere else, please.
Yeah, I'll say very similar words and they'll seem way funnier somehow. Yeah,
I know, right? And sometimes it's just the atmosphere or wherever you are, and it just makes it a little bit better. You can say exactly the same words and it'll be, anyway.
Yeah. No, I think they're normally pretty understanding. And I think also often are like... And I'm making it sound like this happens more often than it does.
Yeah, which it does not. I am positive of that. But yeah.
They're normally, the times I can remember, they're like, oh, it was great fun, you know?
Yeah.
They're reassuring you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you did great.
Oh, how do you remember all those jokes? Yeah,
wow, that's a lot of words you got to remember up there.
Yeah, that's always the ones as well. And
I could never do what you do.
Exactly.
That was very brave.
Yeah. Wow.
Why was it brave? It didn't look like a lot of fun to you?
No, me sweating profusely as nobody was laughing wasn't fun. God, you guys have a strange idea of what fun is. But as a comedian yourself, obviously you've come up through the ranks of presumably bombing a fair whack as well. You started off with Raw as well back in 2014.
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty gentle start. That was some of my first gigs.
That's definitely one of the nicer places to start. Yeah.
You know, you're doing like my first heat was at the Corner Hotel, you know.
Oh, no shit.
I'm like, I've seen so many great bands play here. It was very surreal being involved in that. And it's funny to then the year after that when you do it, you know, you back to just doing the normal Melbourne gigs, which
5 people in a room.
That's a bit of a come down from those shows, especially the final in front of like 1,200 people or whatever.
Oh, and people are specifically there to see like you.
Yeah, they're very generous. They know it's, you know, everyone's pretty raw.
Yeah.
I think that's actually, that might be where the name comes from. But they,
do you reckon that is? Oh my God.
We'll make some calls.
Right into them. Call in just now if you think that's where the name comes from.
Oh, great. You've got a call in function here. Fantastic.
I do a live. No one ever calls, unfortunately. I've never once given out the number, I think's the problem.
Well, you know, that's just, that's the modern world. Phone calls make people feel anxious.
I certainly
get a text
hate
line.
answering it. Yeah. Even
text in now.
Yeah. I also won't answer the text. I'm quite bad at that.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, please do not send a voice message to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just call from an unknown number and don't leave a message.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then I've got no way of following it up. I cannot do anything about it. It's out of my hands. I love that.
I won't think about it again.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not Googling it being like, is this a fucking scam or is this a job offer? I genuinely do not know.
Yeah, so these are all normal things to do.
Yeah. This is just a therapy podcast, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Honestly, yeah, that's exactly how I deal with unknown numbers as well.
Yeah.
Is this a scam number? Why would someone be calling me?
One of the bad things about it, I work as a stunt performer, and sometimes you get a phone call from stunt coordinators, and you don't have their numbers. So you kind of have to answer every phone call now, or I do anyway, and I hate it. I'm constantly just answering a phone call, just being like, hello, Seb speaking. It's like,
there's a thing that just came up in a recent update on my phone where you can push a thing saying screen the call.
Oh, no shit.
And then I think it screens it for you. It must say who they want to know who's calling.
Sounds like
and then they say it's but yeah, I tried it and they scared them off, which probably means they're a scam.
Oh, for sure. I think that's, again, exclusively everybody our age. Oh, sorry, I don't know your age. I'm 35, but anyone my age getting phone calls, it is just a scam. Nobody calls us.
My dad called me before.
Oh, that's lovely. I presume you have his number saved.
I did have his number saved. But that is always like for the most part, there's always a part of you going, hope everything's all right.
That's also every single time I get a call from my partner, I'm like, fuck, why is she calling? Is she in hospital? It's have I fed the dog? Exclusively have I fed the dog? But that one day I don't answer, she'll be in hospital. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, this is my therapy podcast, but we will move into your embarrassing
That is the other thing, isn't it? Because you're like, I have to answer.
Yeah.
Even though I shouldn't right now because I'm in the middle of
I know, right?
Whatever.
Anything, yeah.
And you go, oh no, it is just the dog food again. Yep.
Yeah. And we should have a system in place at home of saying whether the dog has been fed or not. But she's 9 years old and I'll be damned if I'm changing it now. So
yeah, it is just like a notch on a wall.
I know. Like just like one of those things where you slide to fed, not fed, like a magnet or something.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start selling one of them from the podcast. Nobody steal that fucking idea.
Very clever stuff.
But yes.
Very specific problem. I haven't heard anyone else have the phone call every day that have you fed the dog, but is it because you have more often than not fed the dog?
It's because we work very different schedules and our dog has a very specific feeding time that she will let us know about. 5 p.m. every single day she will go crazy. She's
not going, I'm just double checking you did your job.
Yeah.
It's like, I was about to feed the dog and I thought I don't want to double feed the dog.
Yeah, it's weird when we're both in the same house and she keeps calling me about it. But yeah. No,
from your own wing.
Yeah, exactly.
Stunt work is done pretty well.
Oh, I tell you what, I do live in a mansion. If anyone listening, if you ever want to be a multimillionaire, get into stunt work, podcasting and acting. All of them definitely pay the bills.
Stand-up comedy.
Oh, yep, there we go.
That's probably the fourth of the big four.
Yes, we are
money spinners.
Podcasting from Matt's mansion just now.
We're in different rooms.
Yep, zooming in together.
But in the same building.
Exactly. He will not look me in the face when I entered the house.
That was one of the key parts of the deal.
Exactly. And I don't blame him as well, to be honest.
It's quite a big fee that I'm being paid. And but a bigger fee would need to be paid for eye contact.
Face to face in person. I saw it. It was at least 5 digits. And I'm not doing that well yet, listener.
Okay.
But please do support the podcast as well. But we will move on to any of your stories as well. So usually with the guests, I asked if they have any particular order they like to tell it in. I always try and leave the most salacious one till the end. So all these beautiful perverts listening stick around until the end. But I was just wondering if there's any particular way that you wanted to tell them in today.
I mean, I don't think I have any salacious stories.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think this might be one of your more PG episodes.
That's quite all right.
Certainly nothing on any of the sex clowns you've worked with before.
And that's not even on the podcast. But I've yet to top a story of horrendousness from a few weeks ago now. I'll very quickly recap it as well for you, Matt, just in case you didn't hear it. Incredibly talented stunt performer and assistant stunt coordinator, Heather Burridge, broke her vagina doing a stunt. And it was not pretty. And I think since then
What kind of stunt? I mean, I could just go back and listen to the episode, but
it's all right. I'll tell it here for anyone else that hasn't listened to it. Pause this episode and go back and listen to that one.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, she was falling off a bike, but it was one of those higher up bikes. She was too short for it, fell off, smacked right across the bar in the middle. Blood, all kinds of unfortunate things. But I think that maybe is one of the worst stories I've ever heard on the podcast. So if you don't have anything to top that today.
I've never broken any parts of me, I don't think. No, I have. That's not true.
Yeah.
Not at work, though.
Oh, yeah. Disappointing.
Not at work, yeah.
Yet. Not at work yet.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
I stand very stationary on stage as well, so
you're not one of those
have to really go wrong.
Comedians that likes to jump up and hump a stool or do any
the space.
Yeah, physical comedy.
No, I mean, I should.
I don't know if you should, I'll be honest with you.
I could hump a stool.
You could do. And then who
Do
knows?
you think there's laughs in it?
I mean, there's definitely laughs in everything. I don't know whether or not you should be going for certain laughs.
Yeah, okay.
But again, who am I to judge? I'm not a stand-up.
It's a choice I make. It's certainly not because I'm like an insecure, anxious person
right.
that I don't feel any confidence to move at all. And
you just let the words sell it.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
these
right.
the words I say are so good.
Exactly. Every one of them's gold.
If you're in Wagga Wagga that night, obviously you'll probably disagree, but
But text in now if you were in Wagga Wagga that night, and Matt can personally apologise to you.
yes, I will. You can still see the looks on your faces.
Oh, was it quite a well lit room as well?
It was pretty well lit, and it was quite a sparse crowd as well because it was in a different room to what the. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No. So we'll move on
back
from
to the
Wagga
therapy.
Wagga.
I'll tell you about a different time I bombed with it was a full crowd.
Oh,
it was a fundraiser. It was like one of the first. It was like a fundraiser. It was a proper paid gig.
yeah, nice.
And it was one of the first ones where four figure, digit.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Payment.
No, yeah, you're right. 4 figures.
It might have even been the first. I don't know, not like I get them very often, but
No, but they're pretty big things when they do come along.
yeah. No, it's up in Brisbane at a rugby league club.
Oh, we've had a few stories about rugby and football clubs on this podcast. So
Yeah, I think most of my generally the bombs I've had have all been in sports clubs.
do you think?
I mean, not all of them, but
Yeah.
the higher rate of those. Some of the and I keep talking about. Obviously, it would be a much more boring podcast for this to be talking about our successes. But I've got stories where I could go, and I remember a time where the crowd were laughing.
Oh, that's every
Quite a
gig,
bit.
Matt. I'm sure. I want to hear about the.
Oh man, that crowd, did they laugh?
Yeah.
Yes, they did laugh a little bit. I
do
could tell you those stories.
Find it funny. I ask people to come onto this podcast too. I ask people that I genuinely like and follow it, and I'm a big fan of their work for the most part as well. So I ask all these people to come on the podcast. I'm like, you just talk about the worst times you've had in your career, please. And I'm always so thankful that people do it, and I always do try and share any stories I have too. But I'm also very much like, if this is the first time people have heard of certain guests and all they're hearing is like, yeah, I just fucking bombed here and I bombed here and this was terrible.
I'll certainly never be checking out their work.
No, exactly.
The most recent bomb I had was it was a kindergarten fundraiser.
I thought you were going to say a kindergarten. And I was
kindergarten,
like, I'm not surprised, honestly.
There was kindergarten parents.
Yeah.
And I go up. I'm the first act on.
Yep.
and you know the MC's done a pretty good job. The crowd's pretty warm.
Yeah,
like
nice.
they're there to laugh. But sometimes you bomb and you're like, well, that was a rough gig. But sometimes when you bomb and it wasn't, you're like, oh, that was all me. And this one, you know, they were going okay. It wasn't great, but it was an okay crowd. And then I get on stage. And the PA just drops out.
Oh,
as I'm in, you know, just introducing myself, just saying hello.
Perfect timing.
And someone was like, I can't hear you.
Oh.
And I'm like, sorry. And then we get in a convo, but they're right at the back of the room. So they're yelling. It's a one-on-one convo going over the whole crowd. And people in front are saying, we can hear okay. And I'm like, but I'd started the setup of my first bit, you know, pretty short bit, try to get a laugh quickly.
Oh, of course.
And then it ended up dragging out into 3 minutes long. I'm doing, sorry, check, can you hear me?
Oh, which is fantastic as well. Stumbling through your opening part, I would imagine is not the best opener.
No, it wasn't ideal. And I go, and I stupidly, I finished the bit. I should have binned it and moved on. But because it was so long since I started it, that the crowd wouldn't have really remembered the setup, and you know they're pretty fragile sometimes. Jokes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it bombs. They've lost any confidence in me at all. I go, all right, I'll do a classic bit. I'll do a bit that always works.
Oh, nice.
Never has failed. It bombs.
Oh fuck!
And I'm like, oh no, they're now. You can see everyone's feeling awkward. They're like, you know, because they're thinking, wait, hang on,
is this guy?
This guy doesn't know what he's doing. And just before when I'm doing the check 1, 2 and stuff, someone goes, "Are you single?" One of the mums, and I'm like, ma'am, I'm here to work, right?
I'm here to raise money for your children. Thank you very much.
But then, not long after, I could see her, and the same woman is like just slinking down in her chair. She's like, she can't look me in the eye anymore. So yeah, that was maybe the highlight of it. Now that I'm looking back, you know, that was a positive moment there.
Did the PA come back on at any point?
PA did come back on.
Oh, thank God.
And yeah, I got the best laughs as is often the case are the ones where I'm going, I know that this isn't going well.
Yeah.
You know, you're making jokes about failure.
That's good.
They're laughing at that.
Yep.
So but the worst, probably one of the most brutal heckles I've ever got. I'm just trying to set up my closer.
Yeah.
Which I do off a question of the crowd. How do you think this is going?
Are you wanting a legit answer from the crowd?
Yeah,
as well?
it doesn't really matter. I just want an answer.
Yeah.
And she goes, I just want to give you a hug.
Oh, it's the lack of malice and the genuine sincerity is.
You want a brutal.
Yeah.
You want this sucks or whatever.
Yeah. Not just somebody genuinely.
I want to like you.
Yeah, but mothering way. Oh. That stuff's crushing.
Yeah, it's so crushing.
That's the people that come up afterwards and you're like, you tried your best. And you're like, oh, don't say that. Just say it was shit.
Brave doing what you do.
Yeah.
Brave.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified. Nobody laughing at you. You're like, oh, thanks.
And it was a similar kind of vibe without the PA problems at that rugby league gig in Brisbane.
Did they give you a PA to start off with?
Yeah, I had a PA the whole time.
And a stage?
Yeah, and the MC was this local personality. Like, I think he used to host game shows on TV or something. Like, he was, to people probably 50 plus, he was
a bit of a local celeb?
Yeah, but maybe, so I think he was on, like, you know, mainstream TV back in the day. And he was pretty fun, but, you know, old school stuff. And they're into it, you know. And I'm like, oh, this would be interesting. Warm, good crowd. Yeah. They're okay, but they're all sitting on tables. It's a dinner thing as well.
Oh,
so sitting in these round tables, half the crowd's got their back to you and all that sort of stuff. Daylight coming in through the windows.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's not the ideal setup. Peter Dutton's on one of the front tables.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, he's a great patron. I'm like, I don't know if the Peter Dutton crowd and my crowd are the same sort of crowd.
I don't know how that Venn diagram goes,
Anyway, but the guy who booked me from the club had seen me at the comedy festival in Melbourne and really liked me. So he's like,
yep.
I'm flying him up. Really like this guy. He's obviously put his nuts on the line.
Yeah.
To the organising committee and everything.
It amazes me. The people that book people in to things like that and to your rugby clubs or your end of financial year drinks or your Christmas parties, they're the only person, for the most part, that has seen the entertainment, and they love the entertainment. But my God, your entertainment is not for everyone there.
That's right. Yeah, it's right. It's like, oh, if you only you know, and you've seen it on nights at work. So you're like, this is the best.
You've seen it with my crowd.
I can't see this failing. It's so good. But yeah, that was another, I think that was only like a 25 minute set.
And you say only 25 minutes.
But that can go for a while, yeah.
Anyone listening, go and try and do a 25-minute stand-up comedy set to presumably rather drunk, rowdy crowd.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And they became less and less rowdy as it went along. But it was sort of, it's not like it was pure brutal silent bombs.
Yeah, nice.
It was more like polite-ish laughter. They were trying to, they were feeling some empathy, I guess.
Good on them, honestly.
Which I think is the best, rather than, because I've done cricket club gigs, especially where they're angry that you're there. They're like, what? How dare you? Yeah. I'm the funny guy at this club. This is the story I've put into there.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's always them as well, isn't it? Or they just want somebody to go up there, and I don't know what they want from them, but they want like some colour jokes or something that's no longer absolutely all right to say at all anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That one, they want you to really roast Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh,
Jimmy, he's got red hair. You gotta.
What's he like? He turns up 20 minutes late every session. He had a vasectomy last year. Mention that. Oh fuck! It's always those kind of people.
And they're the team when it's all just the team.
Yeah.
Even if they had their partners and stuff there, it'll make for a better comedy show.
It dilutes
it a bit. They're not they're beaten into being a unit.
Exactly.
Adult cricket and football clubs,
Yeah, especially football clubs or rugby clubs. They're all getting mild concussions each week as well. And that's a man that has mild concussions himself every week as well, speaking. But I think
for some reason I think footy clubs are better than cricket clubs. I don't know why that is.
Right.
I think maybe the cricket club ones I've done also happen on the Saturday night, and they've been maybe standing in the field for 8 hours or something.
Just been cooked by the sun.
Yeah. And then or possibly just drinking all day and eyes are glazed over. I'm making a lot of good excuses for myself here, but
I think you're pretty spot on.
But this Dutton crowd, and then I just couldn't. It's okay, but it's way lower. It's not nice. It's not pure bomb, but it's a bomb.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't all of a sudden. Peter Dutton's right in front of me. He's on the table in front to my right.
How was his response to your set as well, may I ask?
Well, all of a sudden I just couldn't stop referencing him and talking at him and going, what do you think of that one, Peter Dutton, using his full name? I'm like, just stop. In my head, you get that two tracks in your head. One of them's talking, and the other one's saying, shut up.
Yeah, your conscience.
Shut up. Just do the bits.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't stop saying, "Oh, what do you think of that one, Pete?" And he's just sort of like,
"Oh yeah."
I don't think he would be into my stuff, generally speaking.
Doesn't seem like the kind of man that's into stand up.
I'm not sure though. Maybe he would be.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know him.
Well, you seem very well acquainted with him after that night.
So that went on, and I just I'm digging a hole because I'm just like the crowd's going. And probably one of the bigger mistakes I did right up the top, I thought, I'd go a bit ironic.
Yep.
And I said, and I thought they could take it, but in hindsight, I would have gone the exact opposite way.
Oh.
I gave him a bit of a rooming. I said, rugby league, it's not like real footy like Aussie rules or something, just like a throwaway. And they sort of tightened up a bit on that.
Ooh.
Well, what I should have probably done was say, right, Brisbane rugby league. I love the Maroons.
Yep.
So many of the best Melbourne Storm players are, just like
get them on side.
Give them a little bit of a tickle.
Yeah.
And which is, I think it's embarrassing to know that's what you need as a crowd, but I think some crowds do need it, and some hate the opposite because they've already got a bit of a chip on their shoulder about that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So and who knows if this is what it was or it's just my jokes were shit, but I think if they're already thinking, this Melbourne prick coming in here,
all the way up here,
looking down his nose at us, and then I say something like that, and they're like, this guy is a prick. What a prick.
He obviously actually thinks that.
Whereas I was trying, in my head, I'm being clearly, just being playful, but
just shooting the shit with them. Yeah.
I have heard that international comics who come to Melbourne Comedy Festival are told, you gotta tell Melbourne, got to give them a compliment or two up the top. Tell them about their coffee culture. Tell them about their laneways and something. I'm like, how embarrassing is that to hear that?
You just need to spoon feed
as a city. We need to be told, hey, how great are you?
My God, you guys' coffee, amazing.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, there isn't coffee elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's the one thing Melbourne has. But yeah, I'm from Scotland originally and performed in the Edinburgh Fringe a fair few times and Melbourne Fringe here as well. And it is that little bit of like, especially seeing stand-ups in Edinburgh, all of them just come in and like, your guys' country's fucked. Like, you deep fried pizzas. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, no wonder you're all dying at the age of 60. And we're all like, oh,
that's what Scotland wants, right?
Yeah. Oh, we love it.
Glaswegians especially, I think they like that combative style. And they'll respect the comic more for that. And apparently we're a bit more gentle here.
I know, right? Which is
not
a bad thing as well. Because, like, oh, God bless Glasgow. My family's from Glasgow. But, like, if I could take a few less possibilities of being stabbed for like a couple of nice jokes about, I don't know, coffee on trams, I'd take that.
Yeah.
Glasgow's a little bit of a rough place at the best of times.
Right. I think anyway, I prefer I think more of the Glasgow style.
I do like that a bit more as well. I think
it feels less patronizing.
It does, doesn't it?
It feels like the opposite of that. Like, I'd trust that you get it.
Yeah. And that's always the classic thing with Scottish people as well, is if we're mean to you, it means we like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we're polite to you, we just don't really give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe that must be the Scottish in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just flying up and just being like, how shit is NRL?
Yeah. Not like I don't necessarily do it, but I do feel that way when if I'm ever self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And the way people respond is like, if they're like, no, you're great. You're great.
No, you slay king.
And I'm like, oh, you don't respect me at all, do you?
I wasn't being serious. Oh, yeah, you actually think that about me?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if they double down on it, they go, you're right, you do.
Yeah, you're
You're awful.
Every now and again, they're a little bit too truthful with that as well. And I'm like,
yeah, okay, that...
Am I?
You pulled out a really specific example to back up your argument there.
And you jumped on agreeing with me a little too fast as well. And there was no sense of
you've
irony.
been in Melbourne too long.
Yeah, fuck, I'm growing soft. I've been here 12 years now.
Okay.
I just need compliments all the time.
Seeping in.
Yeah.
You got a fantastic shirt on.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it is Homie from Melbourne. They support youth homelessness. Against youth homelessness. They don't support it, obviously.
They're all for rising youth homelessness.
They are. They're trying to increase it every way they can. So yes, thank you, Homie. If you do want to sponsor this podcast, please do reach out. But
I think you'd feel good probably taking money from
the homeless. I personally would, but that's the Scottish in me again as well. Yeah, we're horrible people, honestly.
Horrible. Honestly, yeah. And that's the Scottish part of me as well.
Exactly, right?
Are Scottish people like Irish people? They hate Australians and Americans and stuff saying, you know what? I'm actually... I learnt that the hard way in Ireland backpacking.
Matt, you have opened a can of worms here.
And so is it Scottish is similar to Irish? It's like, oh, really great.
You know what? My favorite thing, and this is almost a daily interaction, and I'm so sorry to cut you off about your Irish backpacking story, but
no, there's no story. It's basically I was just saying, like I'm bright-eyed and like, oh, you're Irish.
Hey, I got red hair. Look at my beard.
Oh yeah, my a lot of my mum and dad's sides of the family are from Ireland.
Stewart, the Scottish surname. Yeah. Oh,
I found in Scotland they didn't react as full on as this one Irish woman who was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They tell me that. Everyone's Irish, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is Irish as well, honestly. But I swear to God, every single day someone will be like, oh, what part of Ireland are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Scotland. Like, yep, I can hear it now. Yep, you've said those words and that you sound Scottish. My great granddad's uncle's goldfish is from Scotland. Do you know Kilgody? And I'm like,
do you know the goldfish Kilgody?
Yeah, no, the place Kilgody. And
that's where my goldfish is from.
My goldfish killed Goddy.
Oh God.
Yeah. But then like, do you know Kilgody? I'm like, no. And she's like, yep, they're from there. Do you know it? And I'm like, no.
No, still
like,
not.
How, you're Scottish and you haven't been there. Oh, you're from Scotland. Yeah, disgusting. And you're like, oh, fucking hell. And then you're like, yeah, that every day, every single day.
That's so, because there's places in Melbourne that I'm only learning about now.
Oh, me
Let
too.
alone, a tiny village in Scotland at the other end of the country.
No need for me to ever go there. I've been to some of the bigger places where I grew up, the small places. Apart from that, I don't give a shit.
There's a lot of places. It's so funny. You get that. I mean, probably everyone gets it, but traveling, people say, Australia.
Yeah.
Whereabouts? Melbourne. My cousin's from Melbourne. Do you know John Bishop?
Yeah. Where's he live in Melbourne? I don't know. Melbourne.
Don't know, yeah. Melbourne's got, there's quite a few million people there.
Yeah, I know, right? And then like, oh, wow, I really want to go to Melbourne one day. Where should I go? And you're like, I don't know.
Oh, try the coffee.
Yeah, sure. Try a laneway, get a tram. That's basically it, isn't it? Check out Homemade Clothing Store.
Yeah.
Steal some money from the homeless.
A favour.
Yeah.
No, give back.
Give back.
That's where you and I
differ,
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm all about... Yeah. Buying things from home, you're like steal their clothes.
I'm exclusively steal their clothes. Yes. It's Matt's trying to cancel me just now on my own podcast. But
if that's still in, you chose to not edit it out. So
well, I'm lazy, Matt, so it's staying in. I do find something. We will get back to your stories as well, I promise. But one of the major things here in Australia is nobody gives a shit what your Scottish accent sounds like. It's as long as you do a really shit Scottish accent, you can pass as Scottish. I have been beaten out multiple times for some of the worst Scottish accents I've ever heard in my life. And if you're listening,
a hard accent.
It is a hard accent, but I don't think anyone cares about it.
And I've actually got Scottish.
Oh, from Kilgore, are you? Yes.
Actually, from Blair Athol and Perthshire. Perthshire,
whatever you want, honestly. I'd say Perthshire. Someone from Glasgow might say Perthshire. It's all correct or wrong depending on where you're from.
That's where my.
Oh, yeah, Stuart. Yeah. I know Stuart back home as well. Yeah, Stuart McStuart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a super common name, is it?
No. Not every single person's called Stuart. No, not at all. Never met one before in my life until today. Yeah, but still haven't met you.
You won't know my goldfish then.
Oh, fuck. Is that the goldfish that killed Gotti?
Yes.
Oh, stay away from that goldfish. Fuck. From Glasgow, right? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Swiftly moving on from insulting Scottish people and homeless people. Do we have any more stories?
Well, the only thing, just the little button on the end of that, pretty mild, but genuinely brutal to me. And it's still, whenever I think about it, I actually, whenever I see Dutton on the news or whatever, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, is that why?
And I think it's because
that's the only reason.
I think it's because of that gig. But the guy who booked me after the gig, he shook my hand and he said, yeah, I guess you're just more of a Melbourne comic. Oh
no. It's those things. It's the same as the woman is like, I want to give you a hug. It's just say, didn't go your way tonight, did it, mate?
Yeah.
That's all. Don't give me the apathy. Don't give me.
But it was so fun. I'm like, well, I did a gig in Brisbane last night that went great, so it's not necessary.
Did you come to that one last night? I'll do one. I'll stick around in Brisbane. I'll do another gig tomorrow night. Come to that, please.
Get real defensive. Actually, look, come tonight, and I've got another one on tonight. You can come along to.
Oh, no. Actually, I go really well in Queensland. I have to show you all my ticket sales to these other shows. Yeah. It's one of those things where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you get defensive, they're like, oh, wow. And then if you agree with them, he's like, well, I'll never book him up here again as well. So. Yes,
just need to find a better way of forgetting those ones. But yeah, I guess the ones that don't feel that anonymous and you feel like you've let that guy down as well.
Oh, that's it. And he was a genuine fan. He came down to Melbourne. He saw you during, was it Comedy Festival?
Yeah.
Did you say, you're like the height of your year as well as doing Comedy Festival. Everyone's like so excited to see comedy acts. And then you go up to, Queensland and Brisbane really fucks you.
And that one by insulting the thing they're there to raise money for.
They're One Love. Peter Dutton.
And it's possible. The problem is, you dissect it so much that you come up with all these reasons in the hope of learning from it and doing better next time. But you don't know because you can't redo the same gig.
No.
You want a bit of A/B testing.
Yeah.
Can I do it again next year?
Yeah, I'll come back. You guys happy to do this gig again tomorrow night? I kind of worked out a few bits and bobs now.
Ideally, same audience.
Yeah, please. Peter Dutton has to sit directly to the right-hand side of me now, please.
I'll not reference him every 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, probably every minute or two, I reckon, would work. But yeah, it's one of those rough ones as well. Do you ever record your gigs to watch them back?
I record the audio of nearly every gig, so I possibly even have that somewhere. I should have. I should delete the evidence.
I was going to say release it on Patreon. I don't know, $1,000 tier or something like that. But
it would need to be quite a lot to overpower the deep feeling of shame in my stomach.
Do you ever listen back to any of your really bad gigs? Not that you have a lot, obviously, saying at the start of this podcast as well. I do ask people exclusively to talk about their bad gigs, but like you have a lot of really good ones.
Yeah. I listen to the one or two bad ones I've ever done. Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah. Oh, that must be a rough listen.
Yeah, they are. But it's funny, the bad ones, listening back, are never as bad as I remember.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But it's the same with the good ones. You're like, that felt...
Everything kind of evens out in the middle.
I thought I freaking crushed that. And you listen back and you're like, oh, maybe it's just where the microphone wasn't in the right.
I think you need the audience, Mike. You need to record the audience as well. So for anyone,
I'm normally recording from my back pocket on my phone as well.
It's just rustling around.
Doesn't pick it all up, I guess.
Yeah,
it doesn't pick up the ovations.
No, the standing ovations. Yeah. The hooting and hollering for 10 minutes post show as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's the app sort of has a function that just must suppress those.
Cuts out low end.
Yeah,
I think that's what that's called.
Must be.
Yeah.
And high end.
And high end. And middle end. Yeah. Cuts out a lot of the ends.
Yeah, nearly all the ends.
Hello. Now, before we get into our next story, I've got to tell you the main reason why I'm able to fumble through my awkward and embarrassing day-to-day occasions. Coffee. Now, fortunately for myself and all of the listeners, we have paired with one of Melbourne's best coffee companies, Coffee on Q, a coffee worth talking about. Get ready to caffeinate yourself through your next awkward moment with Coffee on Q's signature Elevate blend. Crafted in-house with precision, each sip delivers delightful flavour notes of strawberry, chocolate and marmalade. And here's the deal you won't want to miss. Coffee on Q is offering an exclusive discount to all our listeners. Simply use the code WBFT15 at checkout to enjoy an incredible 15% off all coffee purchases. That's right, WBFT15 is a key to savings, making sure you're properly awake to remember your next big embarrassing moment. Now, this code is valid for all coffee products, so make sure you stock up on your favourites. And the best part? You can use the code WBFT15 as many times as you like. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enjoy the finest coffee Melbourne has to offer. Simply visit Coffee on Q, and that's QCUE.com.au, and enter the discount code WBFT15 at checkout to unlock 15% off your next coffee order. That's WBFT15 at coffeeonq.com.au. Coffee on Q, where awkward moments pair perfectly with your daily cup. Do you audition for a lot of TV commercials as well? Being a comedian, I notice a lot of casting briefs being like, we want funny people, we want stand-up comedians and stuff. Man. Do you do a lot of those auditions? Yeah. So they're all exclusively self-tapes now. For anyone that doesn't know, we record them ourselves in our home and then send them into the casting directors. Do you watch back any of your stuff?
Oh, only because that's the annoying thing about them. You used to do it in the casting agent's office.
Yeah, you go
do
in.
it.
Yep.
It's done, you walk away, but now you got to re-watch it as you chop them into clips and upload them.
30-second clips that you have to send in individual files.
Yeah, choose which ones and stuff. So you got to watch them all. And yeah, I was doing that an hour ago. I was sending.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, it's but it makes it. I used to think how good it would be to do these all the time.
Yeah,
you don't have to drive in.
Yep.
Or get in there or whatever. But now, I'd take me back to that. So you finish and it's done.
Yeah.
Call me if you want. Yeah. I'm never going to think about it again unless you do.
No, it's not sitting on my laptop and I'm like, wait, what's this
There's
video?
Hard evidence of it in your own computer.
And then you're dressed up like a clown, I don't know, pretending to shave whilst juggling. And you're like, fuck, this is getting deleted forever now.
Look, I remember there was one during lockdown. I did a live Zoom callback.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm in my lounge room and they've got me, can you just pretend to mow the lawn?
Oh, my favorite.
So I'm, mowing the lawn, just feeling like the biggest tool.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm not a mime artist.
No.
The actual ad will be me pushing a lawnmower.
And again, you're like, I don't know what you want from this. Yeah. Just look at my face. That's all it is.
Nearly always you're like, surely you're just casting off your reels and your headshots.
Yeah, exactly. And then all they want is that little talk to camera where you just make sure you're not a psychopath.
Yes.
And that's it.
And it's funny. Yeah, it's always funny. And then you look at them and you go, oh, they wanted a hot person.
Yeah, I'm always like that. And I'm like, oh, that's what they were
We're not
going
really
for.
sure which way we want to go. And then you see who they cast. Oh, you wanted someone who's just
you wanted
traditionally
Fabio.
attractive.
Yeah. You just got us diversity in for us regular looking guys.
Yeah, us in for diversity.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Two of the whitest people ever.
They, yeah, because my ancestors come from Ireland and Scotland. But that's where I think that's where I got a lot of my paleness from.
That's where I get all my paleness as well from. Yes. But yeah, they're exclusively, I don't know. I feel like such a dickhead
silly.
thing.
I remember maybe the weirdest I've ever felt was I did a full audition in a casting agent's where there was no lines.
Okay.
And they're just going, all right, now there's a trophy cabinet in front of you.
Okay.
Oh my God, have a look. Oh, you're looking at the trophy cabinet? Look at that big trophy. Oh, look at it. Look at the big trophy. All right, great. Great. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for coming in.
And you've driven
why?
45 minutes to be there. You've sat in the waiting room for 20 minutes, sitting next to everybody that looks exactly the same as you and then a few of the hot guys. And then you go in and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah. Did you need me to do that? To pretend to look at something?
Yeah, they didn't even have anything in the room, I presume, as well.
No, there's nothing. Or just pretend you're looking at a trophy.
Yeah, that's always my favorite thing. And every time, I don't know about yourself, I always do so many car auditions, or like auditions for TV commercials for cars. And you go in the room sometimes, and I'm just like, my brain's not on. And then they're like, all right, get out the car, and they're like, get out the other side of the car. And I'm like, oh, I'm singing. Like, I do that on the day, obviously. It doesn't matter just now.
Oh, right. When there is a door, I'll know which one to open.
Yeah, and they're like, you're driving, but you're not looking too much. And you're like, I'm just like, just look at my face. Just yes or no instantly, please. Don't make me go through all this.
It is funny.
Yeah. And then every now and again, they'll be like, all right, you need to, one of my favorite ones is I went in, sat on a leather couch. They were like, can you take your top off? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, you just need to pretend to have a bath with money. And I'm pretending to rub myself with money. And they're like, perfect, thank you. And I was like,
where's this tape going?
Well, this casting agency is no longer around as well now, so I don't know. But yeah, I was also just like, this is a hidden camera show, right?
Yeah, that feels.
You're like looking around for cameras. And you're like, no, I've done this in front of a camera. Like, this is all that is.
But don't worry, at least you're not getting paid for it.
Oh, exclusively doing it for free. Maybe getting a parking ticket because I've been sitting in the waiting room for too long.
Yeah,
making small talk with all these other psychopaths in here.
It's funny. Anyway, any casting directors listening, we respect your profession.
Call in right now. I've had casting directors.
Feels like you got the system just right
on this podcast before, and it's never like, it's always what they're getting handed down as well. It's never,
of course, yeah.
It's always the psychopaths that work in advertising, and I mean that. I'm not mincing any words. Whoever you weirdos are, please just write us some normal things.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Do we have any more embarrassing stories, either with bombing or maybe from some of the other 100 things that we've done in the arts and entertainment industry?
This one is it felt embarrassing at the time. I don't know how embarrassing it is to tell, but we were filming this is quite a few years ago, filming a sketch show for Stupid Old Studios, which is where we're recording here.
Yeah, beautiful studio.
And it was, we're in Perth, and in this sketch, I was dressed up as a rabbit in a bunny suit.
Okay. Realistic bunny suit, or like one of those like,
no, I just
mascots?
found it. Found it at a sort of a higher costume
wonderful.
hire there. It's like it was sort of purposely a bit shabby.
Yeah. And worn a few times.
It was I'd written the sketches. It's not the strongest sketch, but it was basically you've all heard of the Easter Bunny. I'm the Wester Bunny,
Okay.
It's stupid. But anyway, so we're filming this at the westernmost point of Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of Perth, wherever it was, or at least we're faking it to be. And filming this, and this guy comes up to me, this is probably 50, I know his age because he was 64, I think.
Oh,
and
okay.
he goes, he comes up to me, walks in between the camera and me during a take, and he goes, I don't know if you remember the Nimble Bunny ads, but they were on air quite a bit at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Nimble Bunny. It's the Nimble Bunny. I can't believe I'm meeting the Nimble Bunny. And he's clearly just had a couple of drinks, and he's going, oh, man, this is the best day. And then he said this heartbreaking thing. He goes, it's my birthday today. This is the best birthday ever. I'm 64 today. And then he goes, thank you. So it was so great to meet you. And then he walks away and we're sort of laughing. That was a bit weird and awkward. Then he comes back again, walking through the take.
Of course.
And he goes, sorry, can I get a photo?
Oh.
And I said, I'm like, I can't tell him that I'm not the Nimble Bunny now. But no. Because I had thought in my head, I'm like, I could have been the Nimble Bunny.
Yeah.
He's leaving. He's got this story. If it makes him happy, he's telling his friends that he met an ad mascot.
He's the happiest birthday he's ever had.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's no evidence, so he can tell whoever he likes and they can believe him. But he comes back and asks for a photo, and I'm like, it's too late now to tell him that I'm not actually the. So I'm like, but then the funny thing, I go, can I get? Because one of the other guys on that show was the guy who played the Nimble Bunny.
No shit.
And he's there. And so we were just a tiny crew. We're either in the sketches or we're holding the boom or whatever. Yep. So he's holding the boom for that mic, for that sketch.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you should get the crew in as well.
Oh.
Because I'm like...
That's a good save. That's very fucking fortunate as well.
So fortunate. But because in my head, I'm like... I don't think when I say a few drinks, he'd had a lot of drinks. And I'm like, I don't think I can explain to him that I'm not the Nimble. Like, he'll be like, thinking it's a joke or a bit or something. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Anyway, so I could get the crew in. So he gets these photos. And I just like the idea of him being like, I got a photo with the Nimble Bunny. And people are like, that's not the Nimble Bunny. Yeah. Hang on, but that is, you know.
They also wouldn't know that is the Nimble Bunny because
he's not wearing the trademark suit.
What a fucking bizarre interaction. And it was, it was one of those ones where, because even though the focus was on me and it did make me feel that cringe, I was sharing the experience with half a dozen other people. Yeah. Whereas the stand-up ones are always like... Oh, yeah, it's just you.
Especially when there's, those shows where there's a support and stuff. Like the kindergarten one... I walked straight out of the building, but I heard later that it was pretty rough the whole way through.
Oh, that's good to hear at least.
Which is possibly because I brought it off to a horrible start, but
killed it from the get-go.
But there's some sort of camaraderie there, and everyone's like, and everyone's bombed, so everyone knows they're like, that sucks, but who cares? Oh, yeah. But when you're doing like the rugby league club, no one else there. Everyone's just like, oh, this guy's bad at comedy. There's no one there, goes,
who's this stranger?
Yeah. So that's why the Nimble Bunny one wasn't as brutal because
that's mostly just heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking.
I don't know what's going up. That man, I hope he's okay. Yeah, for a start.
To be for your best birthday, even if I was to have met the mascot for a loan shark or whatever you call them, like a short-term loan company.
Yeah, like I don't want to get into apparently or allegedly maybe quite a predatory thing.
Yeah, what? Yeah. Short-term loans?
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble here, so it's allegedly or whatever.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But, yeah, Jesus.
If the audience has heard a lot of bleeps before this.
Yeah, it's because we've had to
for good reason. This. We've said some pretty full-on things. Some
quite defamatory things. But that is genuinely, I feel... horrible for that man,
isn't it? What if it's just this? Yeah, that's. But again, I don't know if that's the kind of story you're after or not.
Oh, I love it. I genuinely love it. It is exactly the kind of story I'm after. It's kind of nice that you have made his birthday as well.
That's the thing, because there is part of it that is actually quite nice. He was happy. Every bit of him was happy. He was stoked.
64 birthdays. Yeah. And out of all of them, that one is his happiest.
Yes.
That is, I mean, congratulations to you. I don't think I've ever made anyone that happy in my entire life. And I don't know. It's that classic thing as well, where it's like, it's always in the middle of a take, they'll walk in front of camera. Be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
We're in the middle of filming, mate. All those cameras over there are... Yeah, how did you get through?
Yeah, small crews like that, you're like, there's no one.
Oh, there's no one.
But when they're getting through a big shoot, and they're like, you don't see the vans and there's like literal security guards you've snuck past,
and all the PAs have tried to catch you, and you've made your way past, and you're in the middle of a scene just now, and you're like, we have guns. Like, this isn't safe for you to be here. I was filming once a Chinese film. They were filming over here, and I just had this tiny little part where I played a cop in it. We're filming in Chinatown, and right before I was about to go on camera, this man walked up and he goes, "Oh, what part of the police are you in?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't recognize that badge." And I was like, fuck, that's my cue. And I was like, what is going on just now? And he just really confused by what police officer I was. I was a fake police officer. I was arresting a man.
I'm a Chinese movie police officer.
Yeah, right.
What was the movie?
It was called Chinatown Canon 2.
Oh,
I don't think it got
better
an English
than the sequel?
Yeah, obviously.
Better than the original, I should say.
I haven't seen the original. It was, I don't know if it ever got an English release, but it paid for that day.
Canon 2.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Check it out. Anyone out there, if you can find it. I think I know I'm in it. I've seen the little part I'm in. Yeah.
And did the guy who asked what kind of police officer you were, did he make the cut as well?
He didn't.
They used that take.
But he hung around until I finished that take.
Oh,
and
great.
then I had to explain to him I wasn't real and that everything he sees here just now is not real. And he kind of just stuck around and nobody really moved him on. And I was like, what is going on just now? It was very bizarre. So that is absolutely classic as well. So anyone sees or doesn't see a camera, they're just attracted. It's like a big magnet.
What's going on here? Yeah, I guess it's quite a well lit scene. It's caught their gaze.
Exactly, right? And they're like, there's a lot of people standing around in a
I
group
wonder
here.
what's going on here. I'll get in the back of this.
Or every single person comes up and you're like, what are you filming? There's never a good answer to it as well. They're always disappointed.
Yeah.
You can tell them like literally anything you're in and like, oh, never heard of it.
Yeah.
We're filming it just now. Of course not.
It hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. I think unless you say it's like, oh, it's X-Men, maybe they might know it. But otherwise they're just like, oh, I don't know that
It's
film.
X-Men. I'm Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What are you in? You're an actor?
Yeah. Oh, can I get a photo with you?
Yeah.
This is my 78th birthday. This is the happiest I've ever been.
Are you famous?
Yeah.
That answer people say. Well, if you're asking me, then no.
Yeah. Why are you asking for a photo after that as well?
Are you famous?
Yeah.
Kind of answered your own question there.
Yeah, exactly. My lowest point is I work as a barista occasionally and somebody comes up and goes, I recognize you from this. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why do you work here? And I'm like, I just need to pay the bills. And they're like, oh, wow. And they wander over to their group of friends, point to me, and everyone's like, okay.
He's from China Canon 2.
Yeah, exactly. I went up and spoke to him in the middle of a take.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is. It's great to know that you've become well acquainted with Melbourne coffee culture.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Too well acquainted now. It'd be nice if I could get a little less acquainted. Anyone that's looking to hire a middle-aged Scottish man out there, please call in now.
That's so good.
But,
yeah.
Yes.
Where do I know you from?
Yeah, that's always my favorite one is when I've been in other things with larger stars and someone takes a photo with them and then a member of the public's like, they were getting another photo taken with that person. I should go and get a photo taken with them. And then they walk up and like,
yeah,
can I get a photo too? And then like, oh yeah. And then they wander off and it's like, who was that?
Yeah. Why did you need that?
I know.
So funny.
Just in case.
Just in case. This could be someone.
Exactly.
Could have been Hugh Jackman. I was at a bakery years ago and I recognised the guys, the front man for a couple of metal bands I
nice.
loved. And I said, are you from 5 Star Prison Cell? Are you from Frankenbach? And he goes, yeah. I said, oh, cool. You still making music? And he goes, bread's my passion now.
Oh.
But he said it with a big smile. I loved it. What a great answer. Bread's my passion now. I love that, man.
That's a good way to answer as well.
Yeah.
And I hope it was his passion as well.
Yes.
He wasn't just working in a bakery. Not just, I work as a barista sometimes as well.
Coffee's my passion now.
Coffee's my passion now? Question mark? My passion for just now.
For just now. Yeah, until like clock off.
Until 3 hours time and then don't speak to me, please. We'll start bringing this podcast towards the end though. So I was just wondering if you had any other stories to wrap up with.
So the other one I was thinking about was maybe 5-6 years ago. I'd organised this little regional tour.
Oh, nice.
And sort of organised it remotely. So we were working in some funny little venues.
Okay.
And it was, one of them was in Ballarat at a, this whole tour had weird things happen, but I think the most memorably odd one was, and it probably should have known going in, but it was in the room above, a function room above a chicken restaurant.
Oh.
And
they had a function room above the...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was in Ballarat. It was either Ballarat or Bendigo. I think it was Ballarat. And then we got there and it was a lineup, 5 of us on the lineup.
Yeah, nice.
It's good fun, really good quality lineup. And we got there and the setup was really good. I'm like, I was nervous that we're performing in a
chicken shop.
the room above a chicken shop, but it was really nice. It was stage.
Oh, awesome.
Light set up, nice velvet curtains and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, far out.
It was looking good. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So we're starting to set up, getting ready. It's probably, we're an hour or something before doors open. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we're sitting in the back of the room. All of a sudden, this sort of angry looking guy comes through.
Ooh.
And he goes, "You didn't pay for this."
What?
I'm like, sorry. He said that to one of the others, and they go, "Matt, come over here." This guy, he's like, "It's $1,500 if you want the setup."
What?
And I said, we'll run at a loss if I pay you that.
That's so much money.
That's quite a lot of money. We've already we've driven out, we can't afford to pay you that.
Not in the budget.
No, it's just not in the budget, I'm afraid. And he said, there was no compromise. He said he just started taking it down. He took the curtains down.
Wow.
He took the lighting rig down, or unplugged the lighting rig, packed down the stage, and he's just putting it at the back of the room. He's not. He's just basically.
So it's there.
It's there. It's like you just can't have it, and it's taken him effort.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
He'd obviously had beef with the chicken restaurant who we rented the space off.
Okay. So he's not part of the chicken restaurant.
I don't think he was part of the chicken. So there was some uncomfortable partnership between this guy.
It sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah. So anyway, so now the clock's ticking, and I'm like, all of a sudden, the curtains were also blocking this huge window.
Yeah.
And it was daylight savings, sunlight streaming in through the window. We're like, what do we do here? And we didn't have a huge crowd coming in. It was like 45 people, 50 people or something.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why we couldn't afford a $1,500 fee.
$1,500 is a fair whack for
we'd have
100 crowd.
I think if we sold 200 something tickets, it would have been the biggest cost of the night.
Exactly.
Still want to pay all 5 acts, and
of course you need to drive out to these places.
All the rest. So yeah, I'm like in a bit of a panic. I ran out, found a local, it was like a Target or a Big W department store, looking at curtains, found a curtain and got a hammer, got some nails.
Oh, wow.
Hammered a curtain up above the window. And luckily I had like a backup rig with me with a light.
Yeah, geez, that is lucky.
Light, camera, speaker.
Yep.
So we just set up in this corner.
Fuck.
And it looks shit house all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It goes from looking like, for a chicken shop attic.
Yeah.
A really nice looking gig to, it looks like you're doing a gig above a chicken shop.
This is what I imagined when I arrived. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had to have bought a curtain. I was expecting, what I got was less than your basic setup. So there was a misunderstanding somewhere in the booking. Because I didn't book it. There was another producer working on it, and so there was a disconnect somewhere.
You were far enough removed that it was like something had been lost.
But I'm the only one there who's
frantically driving to Target now.
Yeah, and then so I was like, fuck, we got to set up. Yep. There's a show. Then only half the crowd turn up by showtime. And I'm like, shit. Guys, or even less. Maybe it was a third.
Turn up 15 minutes before showtime. Honestly, please.
It was like 12 people. It was like,
Jesus.
I'm like, oh man, stomach sinks.
Yeah. Very
sparse, spread out in the crowd. Like, can we bring it? And we sort of bring them together, and it goes okay. It was going okay for a tiny crowd.
Yep.
Which sometimes they can. Sometimes a small crowd can go, yeah, we're all here to have fun. We're on board.
Oh, especially in like the smaller towns as well. They're like, we're fucking here because we like you and we never get to see this as well.
Yeah. So. And then at the break, the rest of the crowd arrive.
Wow.
All together because they were on a Christmas work function.
Oh, no. Not the Christmas work function.
They all worked for a kitchen bench company, which is so specific.
Yeah.
And they were drunk.
Yep.
and awkward.
Yep.
And they were also walking into a room that they weren't expecting.
Yep.
They were like, "Oh, we thought we were coming to a comedy. This is a strange setup."
All just walking up with a few bits of chicken as well.
Yeah. And they just stand. They refuse to sit down.
What?
They stand at the back of the room
On the stage of the set.
So you've got like 35, 40 people at the back of the room.
Oh my God.
Wow, man. Like the vast majority of the crowd refusing to really engage in the crowd. And they're sort of just chatting.
Oh, of course they are.
And like it wasn't until, I can't remember who was on last. Might have been Jack Druce. And
It's poor man.
Everyone's struggling, and as you would, no one's hardly paying attention. And he just got a bit angry.
Yep.
About everything.
Of course.
And he just started going them.
Yep.
And they quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was like, oh God, we salvaged a bit of a vibe at the end, but it was not a nice night, almost from start to finish.
Just everything's gone wrong as well, which is almost impressive if it wasn't so, like, I'm sure, wholly annoying. Like disheartening for you to see a very angry man ripping down all of your set. Yeah. Also, if they have a massive window up there, why is there no curtain installed in front of it? There's so many bizarre things. Did it smell like a chicken shop upstairs?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a chicken.
Like there's worse things to smell of, but a strange atmosphere to be doing comedy in as well.
Very surreal. Yeah. But again, it doesn't feel as bad to me as the Dutton gig because again, I was there. Even though I was the one who was sort of like the producer on the ground, so it was all my responsibility and I felt awful,
but you got to share it.
But I was shared it, and everyone else on the, like every comic has done a million shit and weird gigs. It's just part of the
it's what happens.
It's just part of it. So they're all like, it doesn't, like, they're like not ideal, but you know, shit happens. I'm always, whenever I've run the gig, it always feels worse because you're feeling the weight of it a bit.
You're responsible for those other people as well, you feel like, And I suppose when you finish up those kind of gigs with a big group, you all get to decompress a little bit afterwards. You're like, the fuck just happened?
Exactly.
Whereas if it's you by yourself, you're like, you get to go back to your hotel room in Brisbane at night time.
That's right. And just stewing it. There was like, I did a gig in Geelong once, and I've for some reason, on 3 different occasions, someone passed out or had a thing in older people, all 3 older people.
Yeah.
The first time was in Geelong and a guy had a heart attack in the crowd.
Holy shit.
It was at, what's the art centre there? GPAC or something like that. And so, you know, proper lights. I can't see the audience at all.
And you don't know what's going on.
I can just hear them losing, you know, they go from being great warm crowd laughing and then all of a sudden slowly dropping off, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then there's people surrounding a man who's lying on his back. But again, that gig, I was driving back to Melbourne with others on the lineup. Yeah. And, you know, we're just like, we find out the guy survived.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, and we just had this sort of like this release of, it's kind of like, you know, we were laughing and like going, what the hell? It was such a weird feeling.
It's all of that.
But being able to talk about it.
Yeah, decompressing.
And knowing that obviously that he survived.
Yeah. I cannot. I've worked in one place before in a theatre and they had somebody pass away during a show. I could not imagine like what it is like after. Like in there, you're like, my God. And it was nothing to do with the show. It was a very old gentleman.
Just even like you probably want to do another gig soon after.
I know, right? Yeah.
Just to be like, otherwise you'd start thinking, did I do that? Yeah. Especially when it happened again. To me earlier this year, I'm like, you're kidding.
The touch of death, Matt Stewart.
This was in a room above a pub, and I could see. I could see it all this time differently. So I was just like,
another heart attack.
It was she was a bit older, and she just got hot and passed out. Yeah. And every time they're so embarrassed. I'm like, honestly, please. The least of your worry should be how embarrassing it is. It's not embarrassing at all.
I'll get her on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that time you ruined Matt Stewart's gig?
I'm just like, okay, that one was easy because I could see what was going on. The other one, embarrassingly, I'm still plowing on.
Yeah.
Confused for a bit. Going,
trying to bring it back as well. And you're like, why is everyone not laughing all of a sudden?
Or that one I was on last before the intermission. So I was able to say, you know what? Let's call that the break and let's make sure she's okay.
Yeah, and then everyone can make sure she's fine and like maybe she'll stick around, but at least they can probably see her walk out.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Which is exactly what happened. She was doing much better soon after. But.
Yeah, great. So yeah, they're not getting carried out in a stretcher, and yeah, you're kind of waiting for that confirmation phone call if it's all right afterwards as well.
Geez.
Yeah, not fun. Well, we've ended this podcast in a real downer, which is, I think, what I like to do.
She lived.
She lived. Everybody has lived in these stories as well. And that man, the 64-year-old man, you made his life, I think, as well. So it's actually kind of all upbeat stories when you think about it. But thank you so much for coming on again, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me.
Where can people find you? What have you got coming up?
Well, I have a podcast or 2 podcasts that come out every week. One's called Do Go On, and it's about a different sort of chapter of history each week, different story, and talk about it with a couple of friends and make light of it or whatever.
Each week somebody writes a report, I suppose.
Report, basically. Yeah, that's right. So the most recent one that probably came out might have been about this newspaper boy strike of 1899.
Is that what Newsies is based on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of any of this, but
really?
That's right.
I fucking love musical theatre. So I have seen the Christian Bale movie and I have seen the Disney
We talked
musical.
about that a little bit. Yeah, Christian Bale is a boy, right?
Yeah. One of his earlier roles.
So yeah, we talked about the true story behind that. And but yeah, every week is about an entirely different thing. It's like Bigfoot or I can never think of it. Chernobyl,
very
topics
vastly different.
Yeah. And then the other one I've been doing, Who Knew with Matt Stewart, it's like a comedy quiz show with Melbourne comedians.
Yeah.
Mainly Melbourne, comedians from around the joint. And that's just a bit of fun.
Very fun little podcast, that one, I have to say. And if you are listening to that, stay for the post credits, I suppose. They may be some of my favorite parts.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah. There's a few of the outtakes.
Yeah. And the outtakes that aren't like somebody hasn't fudged the line. It's basically just massive tangents.
Yeah, that's
people
right.
Go on.
That I'm like, some people will not have the patience for this.
No.
But some people who will be looking forward to it
and that
after the credits.
May or may not be their favorite parts.
Yeah, exactly.
And where can we find you online as well?
MattStewartComedy.com, I think, is my website. And yeah, Matt Stewart Comedy on Instagram and Facebook, I guess.
Yeah. You one of those weirdos on Threads or X or anything just now?
Matt Stew_art on Twitter.
Oh.
Is that what you mean by X?
Yeah, I think it's
I haven't got my head around why. I don't understand why you would have done that.
I don't know anything that's going through that man's head, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
But I got off Twitter years ago and I don't know what is happening there, but it seems like garbage.
I think people have dropped right off it, but
yeah,
I still post things there.
Yeah, why not?
I've gotten the habit of it, but yeah, now that you remind me that it's called X now, maybe it's a good time
to finally
jump off.
Oh, to close it down.
Yeah.
I reckon that's probably a smart thing as well. But again, I don't
Head of the game.
Yeah.
Or not really.
No.
You were.
I was. I saw this coming years
I'm
and years
going
ago.
all the way down with the ship.
Yeah. It's also, I don't mind a garbage fire, keeping track of something sometimes as well.
Point.
Yeah. And your website and Instagram and all of that, people will be able to see where your gigs are coming up as well?
Yeah, I believe so. I can't. When is it now? I think I'm going to be doing like the festival run next year. I think with Suren, Jayemanne, another comic, just doing a half sort of split stand-up show. Yeah,
nice.
Working on some new material into the new year.
Fuck yeah! So keep an eye out. All of this will be in the show notes as well.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Mentioning Suren, we did a show called Good Tucker that's on SBS On Demand as well.
Oh fuck yeah!
It's he hosts and I'm sort of the sidekick a bit.
Sidekick's a pretty fun job.
/ director.
Oh, okay.
So on screen, I'm like a pretend director, but I'm kind of the real director as well. And, on screen, I play a bit of like a know-nothing, know-it-all type. But it's just basically he's going around to regional Victoria interviewing local restaurateurs.
Oh, fantastic.
Who've usually immigrated from different parts of the world. So it's sort of like talking about Australian multiculturalism through the local cuisine.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Hell yeah.
Just got nominated for the Antenna Award.
Oh, no way.
Best program.
So you'll be down in Fed Square accepting that award, will you?
I'm going to be over in the States, unfortunately, but maybe I'll send a video message, I'm sure.
Yeah, nice.
I think Suren can handle it.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah, pretty funny guy, that one.
Yeah, I think he could probably do it.
Yeah, I'll pop that in the show notes as well, but check it out on SBS On Demand. And then the same as every week, you can find Won't Be Forgetting That pod across YouTube and Instagram. You can find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, across YouTube and Instagram as well. If you did enjoy the show, please do subscribe, rate it 5 stars, write a little review. Word of mouth for this kind of stuff is massive too. So I would, if you have friends, if you're listening and you have friends, you're one of those privileged people, please do tell someone about it.
Yeah, if you have friends who love to cringe.
It is, isn't it, like that?
Or
bit weak.
a bit of Schadenfreude, or however you say it.
Yeah, there you go. So
this show could be called Schadenfreude, the podcast.
If I knew how to spell that, I would have called it that.
It would have been, honestly, that would have been a nightmare for
I was going to say,
listeners to find.
Googling nightmare, especially on Apple Podcasts or whatever. So it'd be SC, fuck it.
Freud.
Yeah, Freud. Look up Freud.
Freud.
But yes, once again, thank you very much for coming on, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me.